Okay, so does anyone have anything they'd like to ask or comment on or share anything this morning?
Yes, I wanted to share something. So in the partner practice, you've been having us feel a connection from our dantian to our partner's dantian, and then the four gates to the other person's four gates. And that's been really, really helpful. And today I had the experience where I found myself being moved before my partner's like hands would come up or they'd come in. And it was really cool. And I thought, oh, this must be like their chi, that their chi is coming in before their body does. But then it felt like that was like not complete. And I felt like something was missing. And I realized that it felt like it was that, but it felt like more like actually their yi, like their intention was actually ahead and like out moving me. And I realized that I had an unconscious picture that the interaction, when we're not touching, the interaction happens only through the chi. That it may like kind of filter down from the spirit and the intention, but it's like the interaction is actually happening only at the chi. But I realized that's, at least it doesn't feel like that's true. And I realized that was kind of a limited perspective, and it felt like, oh, like actually we're interacting at all the levels of the manifestation cycle, and it's like a much richer like interaction than I had thought. And it made sense because, you know, I know we have mirror neurons, so, you know, and we're responding to the other person's physical body, and then also that you can like feel the person's spirit, you know, so it makes sense. But it's kind of, I realized I had like an unconscious limitation on it, and so that it felt like that kind of opened things up a lot more. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. You know, I remember my earlier days when I was practicing two-person stuff or partner practices, where, you know, I'm trying to like move in timing. And in some ways, it's kind of like, you know, you're dealing with kind of like trying to predict when the other person's going to move so that you can properly respond, or, you know, to the other person, whether it's whether you're evading out of what the other person's doing or blocking or whatever it is you're doing. And, you know, at first you try, you know, you start with sight, and then, you know, there's a limitation to that. And then, you know, you move on to actually trying to feel the energy, and then being moved by that, and you move on to that. And like, it's kind of like, and you start seeing like all the different variations to that. And then, as you said, like you start actually noticing their intent, and you also start noticing when the mind is thinking of something else. You can literally see it, that you can see that they're actually not seeing you, they're looking at something else. And you can, and then you also start seeing the space between their thoughts, their attention. And, you know, it's kind of like just I want to say again, ever evolving awareness of just how much there is to a person. And you know, I think the confusing thing in all of this is, as you said, it's not just the energy, it's the intention. It's, you know, and then there's also this distinct feel of reflexes, of, you know, like of just a nervous system. And it's kind of like, you know, what do you choose? Because as you said, like, it's depending on what you dialed into. You know, I remember dialing into their energy, and the energy started to reach out, and then I started moving, and in response to that, and my reflexes were faster, and so I actually started moving before the other person actually had a chance to move. It's almost like a little bit comical, because I started moving, and then the other person started moving, but then they saw me move, and then they would stop moving because I moved first. And it's kind of like where you're starting to actually capture the other person's, uh, going to move before, and then you start moving ahead of time. And so, and it sounds like it's actually kind of like what you're actually learning to do. And then like just learning how not to move before in anticipation, and then actually learning how to move with. But I feel that actually that's the same thing with actually just regular interaction, where you start actually starting to see what the other person is going to do. And we think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, right. We
Yeah.
think it's a good thing, but it's actually not by in itself, because actually it takes us out of rhythm,
Hmm.
and it actually makes us impatient, if anything, because we feel like we know what's going to happen, and it doesn't help with the relating at all, actually, until we get past that point. But anyways, I'm just hearing you
Yeah, I
talk.
have totally experienced that for sure.
So anyways, so thank you for sharing that. It's like I wanted to say, like, I just there's nothing to do outside of just continuing to kind of just get past the frustration of actually, I mean, not saying that you're frustrated, but getting past that point of misalignment at that stage, and then just seeing what awareness is going to do, where you get to the stage next to that after that, where it's kind of interesting. There's a higher leverage that comes out that desires something more than being able to see what's going to happen, and that the desire to see what's going to happen comes out of fear, ahead of time, and we don't realize it's actually coming out of fear. And uh, you know out of that comes the desire for union. And um this sounds a little bit crazy, but you start realizing that it's not so much that you're seeing ahead of time, as in like, you know um but it's more that you're seeing what is, meaning as in your scope of time. And this is what it feels like, and I'm not saying that this is actually what happens, but it feels like your scope of time increases, where in the present you can see further into time.
That
um
makes total sense.
yeah, right. And so it's kind of like, the time where I got really excited about this is when I was learning about space-time continuum, and that experience actually really kind of, where there is no such thing as time. It's really actually just a continuum. And according to that, actually, it's kind of like, one of the best analogy I've seen is kind of like you're in a book and you're just on a page, and that's how we experience time. You're just on a page, when in reality there's the entire book, and you're just on a page in the entire book. And in the space-time continuum, you can see the entire book all at once instead of just one page. And so I feel like the experience of something like that increases, and instead of trying to see ahead to know what's going to happen, you just experience a greater sense of oneness, because there's no competition, and it doesn't come from a sense of competition of having to be able to do something or win or do better. There's no sense of better. There's actually just a better sense of union. And the perspective changes, that the reason you see further is because it allows for a higher leverage, and a higher leverage for union. You can harmonize better. So that focus, when the focus changes, that focus goes back to, like always, to love and compassion, and understanding. And so I just kind of wanted to just give the perspective that this is another chapter, in another aspect of love, timelessness. And ironically, when we see a little further, it doesn't happen so we can do things better, but it actually happens so we can be together better. So
Thank you. That is really beautiful. And I could feel my body relaxing as you described that, as you kind of gave the scope of it and the context and tied into union. I could feel the vigilant part that was actually like trying to use it to like prevent something from happening. And I could feel that part letting go as you said that. So I really appreciate that. And it just really makes me appreciate how well we're designed, and just like how rich we are as a being. So yeah, I thank you for that.
yeah, I agree with that. I really agree with that. It's kind of like, I feel that when we can't harmonize, we go to the worst case scenario, and try and use these as a worst case scenario, which makes sense. I mean, it's actually, even that's a really good design. But ultimately, the reason we do this is because we don't have the confidence that we can harmonize. If we had the confidence that we could harmonize, then that's what we would choose. So it's the fear and the illusion that we can't that makes us look at those things.
Thank you, Master Kim.
You're welcome, and thank you for sharing. Okay. So anyone else would like to share anything, comment on anything, or ask any questions?
Master Kim, this is Jan.
Yes.
I had just a quick share. This week, I actually had a physical whole body feeling of weight underneath
Oh,
during
great.
kicks. And it was so amazing.
It really is amazing, isn't it?
It was shocking. It made the kicks so much easier.
Yes. The 4 principles of Qi, right? 1 point, extension, weight underneath, and relaxation. And when you experience one, clearly you're experiencing the other 3. That's what makes it so easier, because when you experience the weight underneath, you're centered, you're at full length, and you're relaxed. Because otherwise you can't experience weight underneath. So that was
I am
great.
so grateful. Thank you, Master Kim.
You're welcome. Thank you for that. Okay, very good. Oh, so anyone else have any other comments or any other sharings or any other questions? Okay, very good. Okay, thank you for the sharing this morning.
Thank you, Master Kim. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Master Kim.
Welcome. Okay. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day of cultivation.